Hello guys, and welcome back to the Two Players Podcast, episode 50. We're ending the year off by talking about our own favorite games of this year. So the way that this podcast is going to work is that we're going to be talking about our own games that we played on our own, then we're going to be talking about games that we both played, and then we're going to be talking about our top 5 games. So I guess I'll go first. So the first game I'm going to talk about is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This game was a spin-off title. It was released this year, and it was interesting, to say the least. It felt very pointless to me in many regards, just because it didn't really move the Uncharted series in terms of a story perspective, because I really don't have a personal connection with these two characters, Chloe Fraser and Nadine Ross. So, but it's still like a pretty good game if you like the Uncharted games like I do. So, that's why I put it on this list.
All right. You want to just alternate?
Yeah.
Okay. So a game that I also played was Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia. It was really good. I do have problems with it, like what I said before when I talked about last time, was there was one annoying enemy that kept spawning more enemies. That's really annoying, and it really breaks the pace of the game later on, since they throw a lot of them at you, and it makes battles like last like an hour when they should have last like at least like 15 minutes. So that's really my biggest complaint. Another complaint I sort of have was you can't really customize your army as much as you can in like Fates or Awakening. You can't really make anything, like if someone's gonna be like a knight, they're gonna like stay like that. They can't really change into anything else. So that kind of like cuts out a lot of building of your army and stuff. There is support conversations, but they're not as like in depth as they are in Awakening or Fates. But I know this game was more it wasn't focused on that stuff. It was more focused on, just being a more traditional RPG type thing. And it works. I think the dungeons are really fun. It's hard to say, because the random encounters can get annoying. Again, in Fire Emblem, battles last a while. So having just random encounters like some other JRPG doesn't really work that well. But I liked it. It was fine enough. I still would say Awakening is my favorite Fire Emblem on 3DS, but I'll say this is a close second. Fates is not even close. I don't like Fates that much.
All right, so my next game is Mr. Shifty. This was an indie title that I felt that not many people gave a chance, because this is Team Shifty's first ever game, and it definitely shows. There are definite flaws with this game, but pretty much it's a beat 'em up with a teleport mechanic. It's as fun as it looks. I highly recommend trying it out on the Steam version. I'm not exactly sure if they fixed any of the issues that I had with the Switch version where frames would drop and stuff like that. So, but yeah, just play this game. I think it's really fun and should definitely be given a chance, at least. So,
all right, another game that people kind of just skipped out on was Fire Emblem Warriors, since it came out so close to Odyssey. But I feel like you shouldn't. This game is really good. I like it. I wouldn't say I like it more than Hyrule Warriors, because I think Hyrule Warriors had better characters in it, since a lot of them were really diverse, while this game has a lot of samey characters. But I think overall the game just has a lot more content in it. I like the history maps are really fun to play through. Just give you a bunch of stages and go through like different events in Fates and Awakening, stuff like that. The story mode itself is pretty, entertaining. The voice acting is real bad, but it's an entertaining story. It only lasts like about 8 hours, but the big chunk of the gameplay is just playing through those history maps and leveling up all your characters, trying everyone out. It's a lot of fun. I have like at least like 40 hours in it, and they're like putting way more content in it later on. The first DLC pack actually came out, but I haven't had a chance to play it. But yeah, if you like Warriors games, if you like the Hyrule Warriors, you'll probably like this. But just note that a lot of characters are like samey, which is kind of disappointing.
Unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah, and there's only really Fates Awakening characters and some characters from the other games. It's not like there's no Roy or Ike for some reason. I don't know why. But so if you're not a fan of Fates and Awakening, you might not like most of the roster in this game. But I still think it's great. It's a good addition to your Switch library if you haven't picked it up.
Okay, so my next game is Telltale's The Walking Dead: A New Frontier. I know the first episode came out last year, but the series or the season ended this year. So, yeah, this game was very polarizing, I would say, in terms of like the Telltale Walking Dead community, because there were some people that really liked it like I did, and then there were some people that really disliked it just because they decided to take it in a different direction. But personally, I liked it. It was different, but for good reasons. They decided to follow a new character named Javier, and his story ends at the end of this game. Not that he dies or anything, but like his story as a character and what he went through throughout this game ended. And I think that they did that on purpose because I feel like that they knew after the first 2 episodes that they released, they were like, yeah, I don't think people really want to see Javier in the next season. So they kind of just ended his story at the end of this game, which is fine. But yeah, this game is really good. It does Walking Dead things still. It's just that with this new character, Clementine is still around. She's sort of like a side character, which some people may be disappointed in. But she is still... her story still continues, basically. It's just that Javier is the one that you're controlling throughout most of the game, and it's fine. A lot of the characters that I actually felt really bad for them towards the end of the game when some of them had to go and stuff like that. So this is definitely a pretty good season in my opinion. I feel like that if you are conflicted and are confused on exactly whether or not you want to play this season, just play for yourself, see exactly if you'll like it or not, pretty much.
All right. I have Shovel Knight Spectra Tournament, which I actually played when the Switch launched since there wasn't very much games out for it at the time. Spectra Tournament was like a limited time exclusive on the Switch, so I decided to pick up Shovel Knight again. And this is probably the best DLC they have released. While Plague Knight was really fun, he played I wouldn't say he played similar to Shovel Knight, but all his stages were pretty much the same, just like you just played as a new character. Spectra Knight, they really changed the level design and like fit it for him. He's really fast. You could sort of like homing attack things like Sonic. You could like grind rails. You could wall jump. He's very agile. His attack is like has a really big arc to it, so it's not like Shovel Knight where you just like sort of stab things or like pogo stick around. He plays so differently, and it feels like a whole new game. My only problem with it is it's really short, probably because he does move a lot faster than Shovel Knight, and his gameplay style is different, so it ended up feeling a lot shorter than the Shovel Knight campaign and Plague Knight. But overall, it's a fantastic piece of DLC, and I think it just was just so good. Like I can't wait to see what they do with King Knight, actually.
Okay. Next game I have on my list is Friday the 13th, the game. This game is played with a bunch of bugs and problems and issues around it. But personally, I had a lot of fun with this game. It's pretty much glorified hide and seek with Jason pretty much hunting down all of the counselors, which you'll most likely be. But when you do get to play as Jason, it does feel satisfying because as the game goes on, you get stronger. And when you play as the council, if you don't like playing as the council when you're playing this game, you're probably not going to have a lot of fun because that's pretty much what you're going to be playing for most of the game. And playing this game with your friends definitely does help. I pretty much don't play this game solo like ever, just because I feel like that I would just get either RNG'd or like not have as much fun or whatever. But Friday the 13th, the game, I feel like is a pretty good game. With its flaws in mind, it's still really fun to play through because when you're as the council and working with your friends or other random teammates, it's fun to go and get stuff done with other players. So
all right. Next on our list is Hob. This is by the people who made Torchlight, which is like a Diablo style game. And when Torchlight 2 came out, it was just better than Diablo 3. So that they have that claim to fame. So after their Torchlight games, a lot of people were wondering if they were going to make Torchlight 3, but it made Hob instead, which is sort of like a Zelda-esque game, like a top-down Zelda-like game. So if you think about Link to the Past, it's sort of like that. The game is beautiful. It does the whole like no dialogue story thing, which I think kind of works in this game. I was mostly playing it because the visuals are like extremely nice. Like I love how this game looks. The combat's actually pretty good for a game that's not really focused on that. It sort of has like the Dark Souls combat where you like roll around and stuff and hit people. It has some Metroidvania aspects to it. So you do a dungeon and you get some you get like new, not items, but you get like new powers and stuff like that, which is cool. But again, my only complaint is the game is pretty short. It's only like 8 hours to complete the whole thing. Most of the collectibles towards the end aren't even really necessary because you kind of just get really overpowered and you don't really need too many heart containers by the end, or like sort of like energy, like I guess like magic meter, if you can go by Zelda terms. But the game is still great. Unfortunately, Runic, the people who made this, closed down after they made this.
Oh,
so
God.
I know it didn't sell well. They knew it wasn't going to sell well, but that makes me sad because if they made a sequel to this, I think it would have been amazing if they added like more item-esque items and stuff like to make it more Zelda-like. Because we don't really have any more of those top-down Zelda games ever since between where the one on 3DS. I'm forgetting that came out like 2014 or something. So it was really nice to play something like that again. But unfortunately, they're closed down now. So Rip. It's still great though.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The last game I have on my list that I played personally is Horizon Zero Dawn. I started playing this game a couple weeks ago. I'm not exactly sure, but I started playing this game recently just because I got it on sale for like $10 or whatever. And a lot of people said that this was a great PlayStation exclusive. It came out earlier this year, so I was like, let me go and see what it's about. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a open world action adventure game. It's sort of in the vein of like, a sandbox world where you could either do the main story mission or do side quests, and you level up. You get new abilities. You could use the items that you get from the robots that you defeat, or like the goddamn fruit or like nature stuff that you get. You could use those to go and craft different items and whatnot, and it's really fun. I'm not done with it just yet. I think I have a couple more story missions to go, but I have well over 20 hours into this game, and it is really fun. If you have yet to play Horizon Zero Dawn and you own a PlayStation 4, I highly recommend trying it out because it is definitely one of the better PlayStation exclusives.
All right. My next two are kind of cheating because they're in early access, but whatever. Dead Cells is a really good roguelite. It's basically like, I wouldn't say Metroidvania. It has Metroidvania elements to it, but it's sort of like a 2D side scroller. And it just has some of the best combat that I have seen in a roguelite. Like, it's actually fun to play. Like, most roguelites have very simple combat where it's just like Isaac. Like, it's not much to that game besides like aiming and shooting, like weaving around. But things like Gungeon, where you actually have like a roll and stuff and like iframes, like it's actually fun to play. And this is another roguelite that actually has really satisfying gameplay. All the weapons are very different, like sometimes you have a sword, like a hammer, like fist, like you have a bunch of different weapons, a bunch of different side weapons, like throwing knives, shields. You also have a bunch of different abilities and stuff like that. I think you've seen me play this before, but the game also just looks really nice. Like it has really nice, like chunky pixels and stuff. It looks very unique, very nice art style. It's constantly being updated. Like the game already came out really competently. Like there was like the game could have been sold like not in early access, but he wanted to use that time to put in more features and let people get feedback and balance and stuff like that. And I haven't played it recently. I played it a couple of days ago, and they changed a lot. Added a lot new systems and stuff like that, just making the game better and better. I think the game was worth it when it first came out in early access, but now I'll say it's definitely up there. It's one of the best roguelites that are out right now, besides like Isaac and stuff like that. Yeah, that's about it. It's really good.
Just keep going with your list until.
Oh, okay. My list is long.
Yeah.
Right, so the next is also kind of cheating, but Slay the Spire, which I just bought like 2 days ago. I didn't even know it came out. I saw like Northern Lion playing it. I'm like, this looks really good. It's another roguelite, but it's like a card game. So think Hearthstone, but just like it's like you're not fighting people, you're fighting like monsters and stuff. And I love that. Like Hearthstone, they removed their sort of like storyline stuff they were selling, like that expansions where you would just fight PvE monsters and stuff like that. They removed that in favor of just having regular expansions because they make more money. But I always like those solo adventures because they were really fun to see the different bosses and stuff like that. Well, this game is just that, like, as a roguelite, and that's amazing. Like, I love it. It's so fun. And again, it's early access. I think it came out last month, but the game already has like a lot of content. Like it's mostly just missing another playable class because I think there's 2 right now. It's supposed to be 3, but besides that, it has a lot of content in it. Like a single run takes like about 3 hours, and add that up with multiple runs, and it's a lot of gameplay already. So it's a lot of fun. It's so good. It's really addicting too. Next is another roguelite, 20XX, which also came out this year. This is a not a Smash game, but it is a Mega Man game. It's like a Mega Man X roguelike. So basically, you pick a robot master, and you play through a random stage that's randomly generated like a roguelite. Except it's Mega Man, so you get like in Mega Man X, you can find like the armor like upgrade stations. You can find that around the game. You can find weapons after you be a boss, you get a different weapon and stuff like that. So it's just Mega Man as a roguelite. It's really really good. Like it has all the dashing, wall jumping, everything you could do in Mega Man X. There's an X character and a Zero character in the game, so there's one that uses melee weapons and one that uses the blaster. And the only complaint I could really give to this game is the art style isn't that great. You could tell it's very budgeted. I could see.
I'm looking at it right now. It kind of looks like a Newgrounds game in some regards.
Yes, but it is really good. I like it a lot. The gameplay is very satisfying. Is Mega Man. So yeah, again, the only thing that might throw you off is the art style, but besides that, it's really fun and I like it a lot. I actually got it last year when it was in early access, but it came out this year. So, and another game that came out early access is Slime Rancher. I have not played this during its early access period, and I waited until the Steam sale to actually pick it up. And this game is also extremely good. Basically, you just farm slimes. You get you feed them, they poop things out, and you sell that poop, and then you make money. It's very simple, but it's very satisfying gameplay. Very much like Stardew Valley, where it's just very fun just to farm things up. You can make your own, basically slime farm. You got different things in it besides slimes, you can have chickens, so you can raise them, so you can feed the slimes. Plant stuff, so you can also feed the slimes. The game also has some Metroidvania stuff to it, where you can get upgrades for your sort of suck cannon thing. So you get a jetpack, you get a water gun, and that opens up more of the map. The map is also extremely big. I haven't even explored half of it right now, but it has a lot of cool little secrets to it too. It looks like it has more gameplay, or is actually more of a game than Stardew Valley is, which I didn't really need that because I already have 50 hours in Stardew Valley, but Slime Rancher looks like it might be that new thing for me, since I'm pretty worn out on Stardew Valley, so I needed a new sort of farming game to just chill out and make money, and it's really fun. It's also fun to fuse slimes together. I love that. It is really fun. I suggest if you're a fan of I wouldn't say Animal Crossing, since it doesn't really have a lot of social things like Stardew Valley does, but if you're a fan of Harvest Moon or something like that, then I'll say Slime Rancher is right up your alley. Another game, these are the big ones now. Persona 5. Again, I don't know what else to say about Persona 5. It's amazing. It's probably one of the best JRPGs I have played. I heard that a lot of people that don't even like JRPGs like it so much. The gameplay is just super fast. I think it annihilates a lot of the things that a lot of people don't like about JRPGs, being the slow combat. Since this game is very quick with its turn-based, you can kill a whole group of enemies in a second. Thanks to the weaknesses and stuff like that. Because if you hit an enemy with their weakness, they get put down. Mm-hmm. And if you do that to every single enemy, you could do an all-out attack and just annihilate everyone in a second. So, and with you switching personas, you could just annihilate everything just within your one turn. So besides that, the story is really good. I wouldn't say the characters are as good as 4, but they're better than 3. I wouldn't say the gameplay is better than 3. It basically combines all the good things about 3 and 4 together to make this game. Since 3 was more about gameplay and less about the social stuff, and 4 was more about the social stuff and less about the gameplay, this one's a nice mix of both. And it just works. It's great. It's 100 hours, but it's worth it. You won't,
Jesus Christ.
you will not regret it. Same thing that another game that's 100 hours is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Granted, I haven't finished this game yet because I just haven't had time. I probably would have been done if I wasn't working every day. But this game is really good. Again, it plays a lot like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, where it plays sort of like a single-player MMO, basically, where you have a tank healer and DPS, and then you let the tank take aggro of an enemy, and then you sort of your healer's healing, your DPS do the damage. I know that's not a lot of people's style, since the game is really slow to kill stuff. I wouldn't say it's as slow as Xenoblade Chronicles 1, thanks to the whole elemental chain attacks they have in this game, where you can do combos, and if you do a right combo, you can do a bunch of damage after a chain attack, since you could burst after you do a combo of a certain element. So let's say you do a elemental combo that ends with fire. If you do a chain attack after that and you burst that fire orb around them with a water attack, then it just explodes and does a bunch of damage. So you can basically just do half damage to an enemy and then do a chain attack and just annihilates them after that. So that does take away a lot of the complaints about having really tanky enemies in this game, since if you know how to do the combat, it's pretty quick. But the story is pretty good right now. I wouldn't say it's as good as Xenoblade Chronicles 1, because I'm not as hooked up on it as the first game, since a lot more was at stake really early. But I do know I am on the sort of the boring chapters. I'm on chapter 5. Chapter 4 and 5 I heard are kind of the weakest chapters, and after that it really gets going. So it's great. I love it. I like it a lot more than X. I think they should really focus on this sort of a story focus more than the exploration focus that X was. But I think it's fantastic. I'll let you know more once I finish it, because it's kind of unfair that I'm putting it here because I didn't finish it. But I heard the game is it doesn't get worse by the time you get to the end game. It only gets better. So I don't feel too guilty about putting it where I put it. Next thing I have here is Cuphead. Cuphead is fantastic. if you haven't heard about Cuphead by now, then I don't know what to say. It's a 2D it's more like a run and gun game where you fight a bunch of bosses and just some run and gun stages. Plays a lot like a Contra game, if you can say it like that.
In some regards.
The bosses are all very well designed. The only boss I really didn't like was the B one, because I felt like there was a little too much RNG with the whole platforms coming down. I didn't really like that very much. But besides that, every boss is very like designed extremely well. They're really fair. Like I felt like I wasn't really like cheated out of a win ever when I played that game. I'm always like, oh, that was my fault. I could have done that better. In expert mode, yeah, that's when the game gets a little cheesy. But during normal play, I think it's extremely beatable to beat. Like you just gotta like be focused, and it's really fun. Like sometimes I was in a boss for 30 minutes, but I never got frustrated because I felt like the game always did its best to telegraph attacks and to like show me what I did wrong. And you could restart the fight in like 2 seconds, so it wasn't that punishing when you died. So it's very, it motivates you to keep going. Also, same thing with every time you die, it shows you how close you are to being the boss and what phase you're in. Yes. So when you see like in the final phase, you're like, oh man, I could do this. Like you only have like 1 more health. I could do that. So it really motivates you to keep going. Also the art is fantastic. That goes without saying, and the music is also extremely good. I love the music in that game. Mm-hmm. And last thing I played is Hat in Time. I love Hat in Time. It's great. It's a lot of people are comparing it to more like Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, but I felt it's more akin to like PS2 platformers we have played, since I feel like a lot of the NPCs and stuff like that feel like a Ratchet and Clank game or like a Sly game or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's more like story focused on some what you call it, I don't know what to call it, some worlds, I guess. The first world it was more like your Mario 64 like Bomb Battlefield where you just collect stuff. But the next 2 are very story focused with a lot of like talking and stuff like that, and it works. I'm used to that in my platformers I played. And the timepieces aren't really hidden. You kind of just do the thing and you get it. So that's why I wouldn't say it's mostly like, it's not like Banjo or Mario 64, but I know some people might disagree with that. The music is great. The game looks really cute. It does have some problems with the visuals. Like you could tell is again like not early access, but it's a indie game. Indie game. Yeah, you could tell it's the first game they made, but it did a good job with the models for the most part. The controls are really fluid. I never had a problem with the controls ever. I always felt like I was in control of Hat Kid. Not as good as Odyssey, but it's still really good. The game is also extremely short. There's supposed to be 2 new worlds coming out soon. They still haven't released them yet, but if you want like a good platformer that's not Odyssey, then play. Or if you were disappointed with Yooka-Laylee, then Hat in Time probably is going to fill that itch as well as Odyssey. So yeah, go get it. It's great.
All right. So after Damian's long ass list, let's get into the games that both of us played. So the first game that I put on this list that both of us played, Life is Strange Before the Storm. So let's not talk about spoilers, but be very broad when we're talking about this game. So yeah, in my opinion, this was a great prequel series, just because of the fact that we got to understand Rachel's character and how Chloe and Rachel met as well. Because before, Rachel was sort of just like that missing girl that Chloe happened to be best friends with, I felt. So now with this game, we have an understanding on exactly where Rachel came from and why she wanted to be friends with Chloe. So that's just how I felt about the series.
Yeah, you basically got it. I think... I wasn't the biggest fan of Chloe in the first Life is Strange. Like, I liked her, but she could... I thought she got pretty annoying sometimes and, like, a little rash.
Too angsty.
Yeah, too angsty. I'm like, ugh. Like, I get it, but, like, I had no problem doing what I did at the end of Life is Strange. But with this game, it really makes you sympathize with her and stuff like that. It really shows you what she was going through. Build Rachel as an actual character and not just, like, some throwaway and like she was in Life is Strange. So I do appreciate this... prequel coming out, and I think it's really good, but I'm not going to spoil things, but I do think there was still a lot like questions unanswered by the time I finished it.
They could have definitely made this a 4 episodes season.
Yes, I agree with that. They could have made this another like a 4 episode, like maybe 1 more episode, just like tie things really in with Life is Strange, like by the time she whatever happens to her in Life is Strange,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much. But I do agree it is really good for the story they want to tell. But I felt like they could have done a better job connecting it to Life is Strange. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, some people had some complaints with the last episode that they could have explained more. They could have like had the episode be a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
they just decided to tie things up the way they tied it up. So, all right. So the next game on here is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I played this a lot more than you did, so I guess I'll just get my opinion out of the way. So. I was a huge fan of Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, and them re-releasing this game on the Switch was a great idea, and the fact that they included all of the DLC on top of some additional stuff on there was great. And then they improved the battle mode, which a lot of people complain about, so they improved that. So this is pretty much, in my opinion, the best Mario Kart game to date. And you can definitely see just by how much they've crammed into this game in terms of like going back to like the 2 items and stuff like that, and redoing the battle mode and everything like that. So
yeah, I also think it's a lot of fun. I didn't play as much of it as I did. Actually, I never really played Mario Kart 8 that much. I kind of just buy it just in case people want to play it. But I do think the battle mode's a lot of fun. I thought the new game they added, like Renegade Roundup, like I thought it was fun.
yeah,
But I still rather play like the other game modes that already existed before that, like Shine Thief and stuff like that. But the battle mode was a great addition that should have been there from the start. But it's still fun. It's still Mario Kart 8. If you have a Switch, you're probably gonna buy it anyway. So.
All right, so the next game on here is Super Mario Odyssey. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard the praise at this point, but this is pretty much the best 3D Mario game that they've released in quite some time. Them going back to a formula similar to 64 and Sunshine was a great idea, and Cappy is the highlight of this game because he enables Mario so much in terms of movement and getting around and being able to possess or control enemies, however you want to call it, or capture enemies, I guess. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey is just great and fantastic.
Yes, it's extremely good. The only problem I have with it is I felt like by the time I was done with the game, I was good. Like I didn't really have no desire to go back to get any of the other moons because I felt like it ended at such a good note where I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm okay with this. So I just like I was good. There's like 2 really good moments that really made the game for me, but I would say I probably still like Galaxy and Galaxy 2 more, but. I'll get into that when I talk about the top 5 because obviously that's going to be there because it's
All right, so next game on here is Sonic Mania, arguably one of the best Sonic games released in a while, probably since like Sonic Generations, in my opinion anyways. But yeah, as a person who hasn't finished any of the Genesis games, I've finished Sonic CD on the Xbox 360, but other than that, I've never finished a classic Sonic game. And playing Sonic Mania, I was able to finish it, I was able to play it through, and I really enjoyed it. It is definitely one of the highest rated Sonic games in years, and it definitely shows with the game itself. This game was made by fans for fans, and yeah, it's just a fantastic game. It's only like $20 too, so 12 zones in total, 2 acts each. You're getting a lot of content here.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. You can play as Tails, Knuckles as well. All the bosses also were really fun to play through because I think every act ended with a boss. So that was really good. All the remixes or all the new soundtracks were really good too. Visuals were amazing. Like everything about this game is really good. And just like you, I'm not a big fan of classic Sonic too much. So I think this game did a lot. It really made me feel good playing it. Because I feel like with other classic Sonic games, I feel like you can't really go fast. It's more meant to just be more of a platformer most of the time because you kind of get punished for going fast. With this game, I feel like that's not really an issue. It's also a lot easier than most of the classic ones, which I appreciate. Probably. But yes, I do think it's amazing and it's a lot better than Forces.
Yes, indeed. All right, next game on here is Splatoon 2. I haven't played much of it recently. I know that they released a bunch of updates, but I played it for like the first month or so when this game came out, and it was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. All of the ranked modes are good to a certain extent. I feel like Splat Zones is probably the most balanced out of the 3. They just added a new one called Clam Blitz, which is like football kind of in some regards, but
yeah, you get clams and then you make them into football and then you hit the goal. It's weird.
All right, yeah. So, but yeah, Splat Zones is probably my favorite just because it's not as snowbally as like Rainmaker or Tower Control. Because like once someone gets a lead in like Rainmaker or Tower Control, it's kind of hard to come back because when especially on tower control, because you have to be on the point, and if like you need like a couple of more I guess points remaining, they could easily just kill you with like a bomb or whatever. So yeah, tower control and Rainmaker, they're still good modes in some regards, but they could definitely be very snowbally and just end games in like 30 seconds or whatever. So
yeah. Also, the new addition to Splatoon 2, being Salmon Run, is also really fun.
That mode's awesome.
Which is a wave-based sort of horde mode. It's really fun. It's really quick, unlike other horde modes where, maybe, like, be there for a while and upgrade your character while you're there. This game is very fast-paced, just keep throwing salmonid at you. And it is very teamwork reliant. Like you might have problems if you're playing with randos, but it's still a great addition to the game, and I hope they do add more to it later. But besides that, it's just more Splatoon, which is, it's good. I like it a lot. I put a lot of time into it, so I can't really complain.
All right, next game here is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Personally, this was my most anticipated game of the year going into 2017. This was before they announced Zelda as being a launch title and Super Mario Odyssey getting announced and all this other stuff. So going into 2017, this was my most anticipated game of the year, and it definitely delivered, in my opinion. Some people had some complaints with how Crash handled in Crash 1 and other things like that. Personally, I think that Vicarious Visions did the best of their ability to create the best Crash Bandicoot trilogy remastered on the PlayStation 4, and I loved it. All of the games handle very well. They all looked stunning, and yeah, whatever they decide to do next, whether they remaster Crash Tag or Crash Team Racing, or release a brand new Crash game with their own engine and their own levels or whatever, I just want to go see what they're going to do next.
Yeah, I mean, I basically feel the same way. I know they say they're interested in making another Crash game now, right? Because this one sold so well.
I think all they need is the okay from Sony, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's probably going to happen. And, I trust them now with all this. The games are fantastic. I still think some people complain that it feels old, but I think it feels fine. Like, I didn't have really that much of a hard time with Crash 1 besides a few stages. Crash 2 was really fun. I've yet to play Crash 3 still because I don't know what happened. But I think it's great. The game looks great. It plays fine. It's a great remaster. It's basically what I want every remake to be like. Keep the same game but just make it pretty, and that's all you need. I'm totally okay with that.
Make some changes to go in.
Yeah,
and
make some
modern
changes.
Day.
Yeah, but besides that, I mostly just keep it how it was and just make it look pretty. So I'm totally okay with that. It's a great remaster, and I hope they do it with more of the other games like Spyro or something like that.
Yeah. We'll just have to go and wait and see. Next game on this list is the Jackbox Party Pack 4. I obviously played this more than you, but yeah, this is a great party pack. In my opinion, this is the second best. I still think Jackbox 3 is better, but this game definitely has some gems. Survive the Internet, Fibbage, Enough About You, Monster Seeking Monster, and Bracketeering, I believe. All of those games are really, really fun and really enjoyable. Civic Doodle is okay. It's definitely the worst game on this pack in my opinion.
I think Bracketeering is probably the worst one. I don't really like Bracketeering.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's too it kind of gets too samey. Like, it's just one quick flash and kind of just make it go up.
It could definitely get boring after a while. Yeah, probably. All right, so next game is Hidden Agenda. Me and you played a little bit of this game. Supposedly, this game's like 2 hours long, and we didn't even get to finish it all. But just from what we've played so far, I think that this is definitely one of the better games of 2017 because it's made by the people who did Until Dawn, and pretty much all you have to do is try to work together to make certain decisions, or just make your own decision. It's pretty much a glorified graphic adventure, but as a party game.
Yeah, and I think that works well. I mean, the competitive mode or whatever it is does feel really tacked on. Most of the time, I'm just I want to kind of just see where the story was gonna go, but with it, the whole hidden agenda things they have going on, where it's oh, we can't let this person pick that thing. It just sort of feels but I don't care. I want to see what happens. So I don't like that point, but I do like the whole you get to everyone gets to choose and stuff like that. That's cool. I do like that. It's just the whole competitive part just feels a little tacked on. But I think it's good. Like I like it a lot. It's a very interesting concept, and I hope more games do it. Actually.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's get into our top 5 favorite games or best games of 2017. So we'll start from number 5 and then go all the way up to number 1. So number 5 for me, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Just because this game did everything I wanted from a Mario Kart game and then some. This was, like I said, the best Mario Kart game to date, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, so for me, it's a tie between Odyssey and Hat in Time. Again, I can't really pick. I like them both for different reasons. Odyssey for the exploration, and Hat in Time for like the great characters and like just more of a throwback to like my generation of platformers. So I just got a little more nostalgic with that. Odyssey, I feel while it's really polished, I feel like I just didn't really have as much fun with it as I thought I would. I wasn't even like that hyped for it either. So I'm amazed that I'm still like pretty lukewarm on the game. Whilst I don't think it's bad or anything, I just don't think it's like it's not as good as Galaxy and Galaxy 1. I mean Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 in my opinion. I just don't really find the worlds as interesting as they were in Galaxy or any of like the platforming parts to it. While Mario is really mobile in this, I feel like they don't really do much with it. Like maybe that's more post game stuff, but there's more platforming parts, but I feel like it's not enough in them during the main game to really get that, to really utilize all the stuff you could do with Cappy in terms of platforming. And Hat in Time is there because I wasn't probably going to put it any higher than number 5. But again, it does a lot right, but it also has a lot of amateur mistakes in it. Like some like level bits could be a little like, why did they do that? And the game just lacks the polish Odyssey has, obviously, because, you know, Nintendo, like a Mario game to a little indie game. So that's basically how I feel about those two. I'll probably put Hat in Time. I was debating and I even put Odyssey here, but I think they both deserve to be there. They're both platformers, and I both enjoy them a lot.
Okay, so let's go into number 4. So my number 4 is Splatoon 2. Just because I played so much of it when it came out, and as a person who didn't play Splatoon 1, I was just getting as much playtime as I can out of this. Like I said, the rank modes are really, really fun. Despite Rainmaker and Tower Control being that snowbally, it's still really fun trying to make that comeback, or even, you know, being the ones that snowballing the enemy or whatever. And even like Turf War, the normal like game mode is still really fun to those that aren't really good at killing people in third-person shooters or whatever. You're just able to paint the entire map and just win the game that way. So Splatoon 2, number 4.
All right, my number 4 is Cuphead. I really like Cuphead. When I finished it, I immediately went back to play the expert mode, and that was fun until I got up to the sort of like shmup levels where where you're playing, and I just couldn't do them. Like they're just too hard and annoying. But through the first run through of the game, it's like absolutely excellent. Like I don't think I had that much fun in a game in a while. It was just pure fun. I loved looking at every new boss. All the new music I heard every time I found a new boss. It was extremely just a great package. All that for like $20. It's just like it's so worth it. While some people may beat it in like 4 hours, for me I think I beat it in like 8 hours. I still think it's worth it. You could get a lot of mileage from this game, and if you have a friend, you can play a local co-op. I do hope they add online co-op at some point. But right now, it's just a perfect game. Like I want them to add like DLC or something. Like I want more bosses or a sequel or something. But yeah, I'm just happy it also sold well, so they could like continue to make games like this. So yeah, Cuphead's my number 4.
Yeah. Speaking of the co-op, that I played some of it and it was really fun. I really enjoyed my time with it. Just because like some bosses maybe your friend's good at, and some other bosses maybe you're really good at. So you could sort of play off each other in some regards there. So.
Yeah.
All right, so number 3, I put Sonic Mania just because this game I was not hyped for at all, and this was a really good Sonic game. Like I said, not the biggest classic Sonic fan, and Sonic Mania really did surprise me in that regard. This game mainly being made by fans of Sonic the Hedgehog, and them making pretty much their dream Sonic game was great to go and see, and they did it really well, so...
All right. Yeah, I mean, I sort of agree too. I think Mania is a really good game, and it probably would have been here if it wasn't such a packed year.
Yeah, 2017 was a great year for video games.
All right, so my number 3 is Breath of the Wild. This was originally going to be my second game if it wasn't for another game that just came out. But yeah, Breath of the Wild, I feel, it was a nice breath of fresh air for the Zelda series. Since by the time Skyward Sword comes out, it was just way too samey like every other Zelda game. Go through a dungeon, get an item, use the item to get through the rest of the dungeon, and then repeat that for like 8 more times or 7 more times. So I'm glad they finally did something new with the series. The open world is some of the best I've played. You could literally go anywhere from the start. You could like beat the game at like 10 minutes in. Like you don't need to do any of the main dungeons or shrines or anything like that. So I've never seen a game that gave you that much exploration or that much freedom from the start. It's insane. The game does have glaring issues. Like the whole degradation of the weapons is really annoying. I wish it just kept it something like Skyrim, where it's like, oh, you have a weapon that has durability, but it could last more than 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also wish the side quests were like better. Like the side quests are pretty weak. It's mostly, oh, go get this thing. You bring it to the person. Oh, okay, good. And then you get like 50 rupees, so it's not even like worth it. So I do wish the side quests were a lot better and more interesting to play through. Another main issue being the divine beasts being just big shrines, which isn't bad, but I do feel like I know they said they want to add like hook shots in the game or like more items, and I think that would have been great. Just add items in the divine beasts. Like I know you don't want them like because you don't want people. You want the game to be free. Like you don't want people to have an item to progress through a thing. But I think it just would have been more fun to play through. But besides that, I think the game is great. Like again, it has glaring issues that keeps it from being like a 10 out of 10. But from where it is right now, and like when they make a sequel to this game using this engine, is add more onto it and just fix more of the issues, it's easily going to be like one of the best games to come out. Like I don't think this game is going to be a 10 out of 10, but the next Zelda game after this probably is. So I think it's great. The DLC is also really fun. I know some people don't like that they didn't add too much story, but I was happy with just more shrines and stuff like that. So there you go. This is my number 3.
All right, so number 2 on my list is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Like I said, my most anticipated game for the year, and it definitely delivered on everything in terms of what I wanted from a Crash Bandicoot remaster, graphically, gameplay-wise, all that stuff. And yeah, if you own a PlayStation 4 and you have yet to play the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and you love platformers, do yourself a favor, pick this game up. It is great. It's fantastic.
All right, so my number 2, which came out like literally at the start of this month, is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. While the game also has a lot of issues, more technical than anything, I still think the game is great. It's a great successor to Xenoblade Chronicles. It adds a lot more to the gameplay. And while I don't think the characters are as good as the first game, it's a lot better than X, where it basically had no characters. So I think it is it just moving forward the way I wanted it to. Like I didn't want them to continue going the X route, so I'm glad they just decided to ditch that for in favor of the regular route, where it's more story based and have characters and stuff like that. I can't really say much again because I didn't finish it, and it's kind of cheating, but I only heard the game gets better from where I am, and I really think the game is amazing. So it game better is just like that's a plus. Like I really like the combat. I do like the characters. I love the world. I actually do like the visual style, even though some characters' proportions could be a little ridiculous. But I still think the game is really good. I would recommend it to anyone that loves JRPGs and wants something really like meaty on the Switch. That if you're already done with like Breath of the Wild or Odyssey.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that explains why it's called Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So
yeah, basically.
All right, so let's get into our game of the year and sort of explain why it is our game of the year. So I'll go first. Super Mario Odyssey is my game of the year personally. I'm not exactly sure if Zelda would have even been within my top 5. Maybe Horizon, but I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, back to Mario. The reason I think Mario is my favorite game of the year and why it's my game of the year personally, I just love platformers, and Super Mario Odyssey did everything that I wanted for this game to be. Going back to the 64 and Sunshine route, like I said, being a much more open world Mario game. This game just delivered on all fronts. Some may complain that a lot of the moons are sort of like throwaway and whatever, which is true because, you know, some of them are just sitting there, or, you know, there's like a little shiny spot and all you gotta do is butt stomp on it or whatever. But even then, like, there's a bunch of other moons that can challenge you and puzzle you within many ways, and I really like that. The end game of Super Mario Odyssey really did make it for me, especially with the world that you open up after the game is done. So yeah, Super Mario Odyssey is just what I wanted from a Mario game, and it just delivered on all fronts.
All right, my game of the year is Persona 5. Like, it just didn't change the moment I played that game. Like, yeah, it's probably going to be my game of the year, and it was. Narratively, I think it was the strongest Persona game. It really kept you hooked from the beginning up to the end. While it did still do the typical JRPG thing at the end, which, you know, I'm not going to spoil, but, you know, God thing happens. Like every other JRPG ever. And that's a little annoying. But it's still, the narrative was so good the whole time. Like, I was hooked for 100 hours. Like, I didn't want it to end. Again, it combined the best things from Persona 3 being the dungeons and like having more gameplay and stuff like that. And the best things from 4 being like the social links and the characters and stuff like that. And just mixed them together into one just perfect game. It really showed what Atlas learned from both of those games and to make like the best Persona game that I feel they have made. It's just great. Like, everything is polished. Like, the music is fantastic. The battle system is the best in the series. The dungeons are the best in the series since they're not just like randomized hallways. They're actually like handcrafted dungeons with puzzles and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The story is great. It's just the perfect JRPG. Like, I love it. It doesn't have a lot of anime tropes either. So if you're turned off by the anime art style, just know that it's not really tropey or anything like that. You know, it is very, you know, it plays it straight some of the time, you know. I think it's great. Like, there's literally nothing else to say besides it's amazing. It's probably the best game I have played this year. And probably for, like, the best art, probably my favorite JRPG. Like, besides Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I'll keep, this is probably up there as my favorite.
Top 2, most likely?
Probably. It might be my favorite. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. It's been a good year for JRPGs, I'll say that much. Like, I haven't even played, like, Nier or anything like that, and that's technically a JRPG, but, yeah, Persona 5, like, there's not more to say without spoiling things, but yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
All right, so that is the end of the Two Players podcast. Thank you guys for listening once again, and we will see you guys in 2018, 2 weeks from now, with another episode. So we'll see you guys then.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Bye.